Hello and welcome back to Blackwatch Intel. My name is Crashy, and today we are going to, I guess we're going to install another episode of what I'm going to call the Stop Throwing Your Own Games series here on Blackwatch Intel. And this, by all definition, is going to be a rant, and you're going to be watching a gameplay where you're not going to hear the audio, but I really just I tried to be like a professor to my teammates, and I just pretty much queued up my mic at every second of the game, explaining to my teammates exactly what I'm going to explain to you here today. And this video is coming from a place of sheer frustration. It's coming from a place that is, you know, me knowing that my favorite game, which is Overwatch, is becoming less and less fun by the day, and it's becoming more and more frustrating and less of an option for me to spend my time on. So with that said, I do want to go on ahead and bring up the fact that I'm not going to stop making videos. I'm not going to stop following Overwatch. I'm not going to stop being passionate about the game and the heroes and the lore and the developers and the streamers and the, you know, the other YouTubers, the content creation, the Overwatch esports, Overwatch League, you know, the local Houston team that I'm going to have here. And, you know, the fact that the preseason for Overwatch League is starting on December 6th, I'm all so excited and really ready for a lot of those things to happen. But at the same time, I do just need to explain my perspective on the game as it is now, and kind of instill some thoughts that I'm having about the game and the community and the current state of the game that we find ourselves in, and what I think maybe needs to happen. So again, I'm calling this episode 2 of the Stop Throwing Your Own Game series, and that's not necessarily relevant to the video as much as it is just kind of a funny starting point to kind of kick this video off. So what you're watching here is a game where I'm trying to rank up, but I don't really have the resilience to just sit down and play for hours and hours and hours like I did back in previous seasons, because the game is changing. And when I say the game is changing, I mean people are playing the game differently than they did before. And I say this a lot in streams, and I've said it in previous videos, and this is the facts. People just don't take this game seriously anymore. They don't take their position on the competitive ladder like it is, you know, weighted. They don't actually care as much as they could. And I think the wording of that is really important, because I do want to understand, or I do want you to understand that I genuinely feel that about 90%, and this is a really high ball percentage, but I genuinely feel about 90% of people at the end of the game, win or lose, regardless of what they played, regardless of what the comms were, the comps, how bad of a loss, how bad of a win it was, at the end of the game, I feel like 90% of the player base on the competitive ladder genuinely want to win. Now, this is very important, and the reason this is so emphasized is that they want to win, but they will not actively pursue that win other than following their own agenda. And this is one-trick players. This are, you know, the easily tilted players who, you know, don't want to communicate and don't want to change their heroes. These are the non-compromisers, the non-team comp builders, the people that will do anything in their power to do their best. I mean, they will play the best they can, but they will not make decisions based on strategy. They will not make decisions based on situations. They will not make decisions based on teamwork, on map, on comp, on communication. They will not make any other decisions than the decision they made before they even press the play button. And that could be anything. That could be they're gonna one trick. That could be they're gonna, you know, exclusively play, you know, the tank role. Or that could, no matter what, it doesn't matter. They have made a decision that overall is more important to them, even if they don't think it is, even if they can fool themselves. It's more important to them than winning. And this is a problem. This is a community problem. And I don't think that it can be solved anymore. I don't think that this problem can go back. I don't think we can go back from this. I don't think that this community can reverse the damage that we've done to ourselves. And I honestly wish I could explain why this happened, but I can't. The reality is that we're past the point of no return in terms of people really wanting to win, and instead now just following their agenda with hopes that they will win. Now, That said, I do think it's important to say that at some point, and I hope it's soon, I hope it's very, very soon, Blizzard will have to step in to save their game in some kind of way. And I'm going to throw something out there that's absolutely ridiculous, will probably 99% never happen, but I want to play out a scenario, and I want to put a scenario in your mind and really sincerely ask for a comment back, kind of looking for your opinion. But before I give you that scenario, let me go ahead and preface this. This game that you're watching, I queued up solo, and as I normally do, I normally play very solo, and instantly 4 of my team members went DPS. And as a DPS main myself, I don't think there's anything wrong with auto-locking your favorite pick, but I do understand that, not compromising and deciding to be the person that changes, whoever it is, which one of the 4, it didn't matter, that, that comp is just not something that's genuinely gonna work. And it was not a strategy that we agreed to play. It was just, 4 people wanted to play DPS, they picked it, and boom, that's what we got slammed in. Now, admittedly, I did kind of a power position by choosing Lucio as a support, because I think a large portion of the player base will understand that if I picked Lucio or Zen, it's kind of understood that someone else should pick support as well. And while, I'm 6.5 minutes into this recording, I can't quite recall what all the picks were. That's irrelevant. The point being, I was solo supporting with ridiculous amounts of DPS and solo Roadhog. And the Roadhog ended up swapping to Hanzo, I remember, and one of the other DPS picks went to Roadhog, so it's not like the comp ever really changed. And we play, spoiler alert, potentially, I may even have secondary footage on here now, but we play 2 full rounds, and the comp never became a comp. And I literally sat here and told my teammates what I've been telling you, is that if you're not actively making decisions to try to win, it doesn't matter how much you care, and it doesn't matter how much you can convince yourself that the reason you lost was your teammates. You are a part of the problem. If there are 4 DPS on the team, who do you blame for being the person that didn't swap? Do you blame the Sombra just because she's not the best DPS pick in the game? Or do you blame the Soldier because, he was, more of a team player and could play more heroes based on his, his statistics and game time? Who do you blame? Well, the reality is this. A lot of people will be quick to blame the Hanzo player, the Sombra player, the pick that they don't like, but that's wrong. The reality is that all 4 people who didn't compromise, who did not talk, who did not create a strategy, who did not actually care about the win are the problem. And the problem is a community personal issue. This is not something that the developers can flip a switch on and make work. Now, I did say that I wanted to lay out a scenario, and I did say that Blizzard at some point will have to step in. And this is 100% true. And I'm praying again, like I said, that it's sooner than later. And I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping this up as I kind of conclude my later thoughts on this entire topic. But the scenario is this. The game is struggling. The game is struggling because people don't care anymore. People don't care about the win as much as they care about their agenda. And it's becoming harder and harder to find people who still have that glamour that were, in earlier seasons of Overwatch. And now we have a very open, a very free form of, options and freedom within hero selection in Overwatch. And you can actively have a team that can pick 6 DPS heroes and never stand a chance because the developers didn't decide to add structure. Now, I've been a huge advocate for, a role queue system, and even talked about a preferred role system where at very least they can try to balance the comms a little bit by player, by the person, by their account, by their game time. Or you can actually, implement a more structured system that forces people to play specific roles. Now, we've talked about this. I'll, try to put that in the YouTube card so you can see my position on a role queue system, and there are pros and cons for it all. But the scenario that I'm finally getting to after 10 minutes of kind of ranting and just trying to be genuine about this issue is if Blizzard forced 2 tanks, 2 DPS, and 2 supports for every single match on every team, it would instantly improve Overwatch on the competitive ladder. Now, the question you have to ask yourself is this: are you willing to give up the, utopian possibility that teams would actually work together to build crazy 3 DPS dive comps or triple tank comps and do the fun things that Overwatch is truly meant to do in order to have a better, game, in order to have a more structured game where the possibility to win is instantly increased? Because that's what it comes down to. And I'm going to tell you now what I think absolutely needs to happen. And this is the God's honest truth. We need to have a team queue and a more dynamic solo, duo, trio queue scenario. And I think they need to have different ranks, and I think they need to be implemented soon. And what will this do? In the solo, duo, trio type ladder, I think we need to force 2-2-2 meta. This is not a great solution. It is not something that I think Blizzard will ever want for the game. And yet, I can tell you with full honesty that it will improve the experience of the majority of the player base, because it will add enough stability where the comps aren't dreadful to play, and yet it makes it fair for people to try to queue up as those solo duos and do the best they can to actually win, surrounded by other people that have no choice but to focus on the win and not their agenda. Will this still be abused? Will people still one-trick Symmetra? Will people still one-trick Hanzo? Absolutely, but at least you have the team structure. At least you have the ability to do something other than just actively throw your game because 4 or 5 people, don't want to make a decision toward a victory. As for the team queue, this is collaboration with players that you know or that you aspire to play with. Have it be open like it is now. Have the hero selection be totally free and allow the people to make comp decisions as a team. I hate to be in a negative light. I hate to kind of give off information that's just not that fun to talk about, but the reality is that I'm having a hard time playing this game in the competitive ladder. It's not the same. It's lost its glamour in the eyes of a lot of players, and I think overall the issue is just a lack of care. And the lack of structure makes it easier to throw your own games. So please, make decisions based on the ability to win. And, be the exception on your team. Don't join the herd. That's my thoughts for today. I really do appreciate you checking out this one. Please, 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 please leave me a comment. What do you think? Again, the major question here is, are you willing to give up the possibility of having crazy cool comps for structure, for games that are actually better than what we run into now on the live server? And I'm going to deal this as an absolute. If we had a forced meta in a solo, duo, trio environment, it would 100% increase the quality of games. So thank you so much for checking out this video. Please do not leave without leaving a like and subscribe for future content. This is an interesting video to make. I appreciate it again, and I'll see you for the next video.
Do you feel your bones start to shake? Do you feel the earthquake? Do you feel the fire inside of me? Do you see the sparks that I'm setting free? Does the beat take you over? You just